8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to another episode of 49 Faithfullee. We're your hosts, Miriah Lee and Teran Lewis. I got the stranger to everybody's world wonder right now. What's TL doing? Here he is. TL, welcome back.
Hey, what up, fam? I'm still here. I'm just, me and Mariah and I always do one show a week, and I'm still doing one show a week, but Mariah is most popular right now, so she got everybody named Mom requesting her to be on the show. So, got to support that. So, that's all good. It's all good for both of us. So,
Yeah, TL's still the number one, so you guys already know how it is. He's just busy. Somebody has to work around here.
yeah, super busy. Yeah.
What's up, chat? Throwback. Christy, Ryan, back for another installment, just like we never even left.
That's
I
right.
barely even made it to my room to sit down for 10 minutes and I was already had to come back.
It's funny.
Steve-O, what's up? What's up? Melissa. Melissa wasn't here for the first installment. She only comes when
Oh,
TL's here.
what up, Izzy?
But yeah, me and Ted barely just left the channel and now we're back. Um, but the people haven't heard from you. They don't know your feelings on anything that's going on. So that's the good thing. Let's start with were you able to catch any John Lynch pressers, any of those?
Yeah, I caught bits and pieces of it, and then I think the thing that stood out the most to me was like his comments on the quarterback situation.
Yeah, so I'm going to read you something and then
uh,
just because when I first, and I talked about this earlier and me and the girls were kind of talking about this in the chat too. When I first, watched the presser, like when it was live, whatever, I was watching it. And so that first like playthrough, and then once it ended, I rewatched it so that I was able to take notes and stuff. Um, and I really didn't even like give two thoughts about what John Lynch said about Trey Lance, except for just like, oh, okay, well, that's good. He's out there practicing. It's good that he's able to drop back, like when John Lynch was talking about watching him through the window, whatever. And I didn't even give like not even one negative thought to anything that John Lynch had said about Trey Lance. Right.
uh,
So shortly after that, I get on and I do a show with Ryan and he starts talking about how, he felt about it. And I'm like, and he felt, some kind of way about what John Lynch said. So I'm like, okay. So, now it got me thinking. So once I got off the live and I'm like looking through social media and then I'm like listening to other content creators and other people felt some type of way about it too. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just like missing something, right? So I go back now that since I heard what everybody had to say, I go back and I listen. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to read this statement to you and just tell me
uh,
what you think about this.
okay.
So he says, talking about Trey Lance, um, that's the challenge. He's got to play. We have a team that's ready to win now, and he's got to play. Brock got an opportunity to do that. He grabbed it and did great things. We will see at some point how we get Trey that opportunity because we very much believe in him as a person and as a quarterback. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if anybody who was answering, asking questions, even asked him if they were concerned about Trey's injury, and if they didn't, I don't think it has to be brought up. Like, I don't think you have to say like, "Oh yeah, Trey is great. He just has to prove he can stay healthy." Like, I don't think that's something that you just slide in there for no reason unless the question is asked. Now, if somebody's sitting there saying like, "Hey, what do you think about Trey and his health?" And I understand you answering the question, but if they say, "Hey, what do you think about Trey? His ability to start this year," asking like everything from what I saw was like was some positive questions. You know what I mean? But for you to kind of slide that up in there, I just don't know. There's always been chatter about how there was some um little bit of dysfunction in the draft room with or who should they get quarterback and whatever the case may be. There's always people who always said that. I don't think that, Kyle, he wanted Trey. I personally think he did. I think it was the other side. I think it was John Lynch who really was on the Mac Jones train and wants a more traditional, as they say, quarterback or whatever the case may be. So I don't know. Um, I'm just sick of this already, and it's only March. It's crazy to me. People are gonna say what they want. I don't know. I don't like I said. I don't think it's that much of a big deal. But I think that I never hear him saying that about any other player who's always injured.
Yeah.
I never hear him be like, oh yeah, like like when it comes to Kinlaw, where oh yeah, we have great things for this young man, and he's rehabbing, and whatever the case may be. But I've never heard it. Anybody in the chat can prove me wrong. I never heard say, oh yeah, Javon Kinlaw's great. He just has to prove he can stay healthy. I've never heard John Lynch say that, and he's been hurt. I mean, way more than Trey. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
I just don't
the
get. Huh?
quarterback in Jimmy that was always hurt. We
That's what I'm
never heard
saying.
John Lynch. He never did
Exactly.
anything but talk great
Exactly.
and glowing about Jimmy. Never
Exactly.
anything like that.
Yeah. And I was about to bring that up next. And like we're saying, same thing with Jimmy. Like he never once is like, oh yeah, we just, like even at his press conference, even the year we drafted Trey Lance, he was never just like, yeah, we're going to move on, and we moved it to get a quarterback because our current quarterback, although we feel like he's a good quarterback, he just can't stay healthy for us. They've never said that ever, but they want to always bring that up when it comes to Trey, and that's what I don't like. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't think it's like too much of a big deal to where it's like we need to be like, oh, what the heck, John Lynch. But I feel like it's kind of a slide of who he really wants to see at quarterback. I really do think he likes that traditional type guy. Like I said, the Brad Johnsons and the people who led him to a Super Bowl. But when it comes down to it, all I'm hoping and all I'm praying for is that Trey comes out and just shuts everybody up. That's all I want.
Yeah. And, like I found something more telling about what he said about Brock, which we'll get into in a second. But,
Mhm.
After listening to Ryan and to everybody else talk about it, what I go back to, and the big thing, like I gathered the most from what everybody was saying, was that when he says, we will see at some point how we get Trey that opportunity.
Mhm.
It's like Trey's your only healthy quarterback right now.
Exactly.
So why wouldn't he have the opportunity already?
Mhm.
Like you just said what you said about Brock, and we all know what's going on with Brock, where you're cutting it close. Is he even going to be ready for the start of the season, for week 5, for week 10? Not at all. And so to say, oh, we'll see how he gets the opportunity, like this was supposed to be your starting quarterback, and now
Mhm.
we'll see how we can get him that opportunity. It's like, that's what, and then they say to where like everything that John Lynch said about Trey Lance, he was talking about him in a past tense, and I've seen a lot of people say that like the things that he and Kruger
Larry
has been
Kruger,
saying,
yeah.
has been saying this a lot, that he everything that he said about Trey is sounded like what you would say about somebody right before you're getting ready to trade them.
Mhm. Yeah.
But like that just doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me to even think to trade Trey, because like I just said, he's your only healthy quarterback. Now maybe once Brock does finally have a surgery, and if the surgeon gets in there and says, oh, things were better than I could, was the best possible thing, it was barely torn, I just had to fix it this way, blah blah blah, a couple of months he'll be back to throwing, he'll definitely be ready by the start of the season.
Mhm.
Okay, of course I don't want that, and I think you would be stupid, but then I could see people start throwing that out. But to even throw that out there, that, oh, trade, like while he's your only healthy quarterback, like that
Mhm.
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, it's always you mentioned it before. It's like, I feel like the Jimmy G, truthers and the Justin Fields supporters who wanted Justin Fields in the first place are the ones who are really pushing this narrative. They
Mhm.
really want to see, and it's like that. Yes, I'm not saying they're not 49er fans. You fanned them how you fanned them, but I feel like a part of people really like being right more than anything. Like, if I sat there and I said, I don't like I don't know, Mike McGlinchey or whatever the case may be. I'm just like, man, he's he this, he that, and they bring him back. I'll probably be pissed about it. I'm not gonna lie. But why'd you bring him back? But if he steps up and he's doing his thing, I'm gonna be a man about it and say, man, I was wrong about this dude. I thought bringing him back was a mistake. I thought X, Y, and Z. Just like I went on Spaces a while back, and I was talking about the offensive line because they've been talking about the offensive line and about getting right tackle and blah blah blah. And I was the first one to sit there and say like, I was the one beating the table to bring back Tomlinson because I was worried about this offensive line. Like I'm like, bring back Tomlinson. You can put Aaron Banks at the right side. This and that. But then the offensive line played very well all year. Kind of not in the beginning, but it takes that continuity. It takes some reps together. It's a couple of games to get your feet wet, to get to know strengths, weaknesses, stuff like that. And I feel like after about the fourth or fifth week, they looked pretty good. And I ate my words like, man, they played pretty good. So I wouldn't be surprised if a Spencer Burford moved over. So my point in all this is like, people would rather, like, to me, I feel like some people would rather not win a Super Bowl and just be right about it and be like, see, we should have drafted Justin Fields. We should have drafted Justin Fields. We should have drafted Mac Jones. We should have kept Jimmy. And it's crazy to me. Like, when, and like, to go back to what you were mentioning, people, for John Lynch to sit there and say, oh, we're going to see when Trey gets his opportunity. You hit the nail on the head. He's the healthiest quarterback you have.
Yeah.
And he said it flat out, sit there and said that he's going to be there. He'll be ready by OTAs. It came out of his mouth. He said that. But then, like, when it comes to like to Brock, and we talked about this on our last show together, how like they're when we're on there with Twin, they're sitting there like trying to push Brock back early, like putting timetables out there and being like, oh, I expect him back in 6 months. So I don't know. I feel like there's a little bit of dysfunction when it comes. That's the only position right now I feel on this team that's dysfunctional because we don't know who the starter is. I feel like once you get, I think Twin hit the nail on the head last week. You get yourself a starter, you call it a day. Kyle just sits there and says, look, this is what I'm doing, and stop playing these musical chairs with quarterbacks and all this other stuff and keeping these dudes healthy. Whoever you go with, I've mentioned this plenty of times. I'm a huge Trey Lance fan. However, give me the best quarterback who's going to help us get that number 6. That's what the ultimate goal is. But it's just sad. And I posted this on Twitter the other day. Like, I'm seeing so much back and forth with these fans, and some podcasters who come out, and were like us, huge Trey Lance supporters. And because there's so much stuff going on, they wanna kind of backtrack a little bit and half step and start pushing a narrative. Oh yeah, let's trade Trey. Wait, just 9 months ago, you were saying, oh, I can't wait to do good things. We can be a playoff team, possible MVP if things go right. And all of a sudden, he's not good enough and you want him gone. And I'll say this again on air. It's sad that people will not be who they are and be somebody different just to put extra money in their pocket. Like, be who you are. Stay true to yourself, regardless of the situation. But just to push a narrative because, oh, well, I got to put food on my family's table. I get it. You want to do this full time. This is what you do. But at the same time, still be true to yourself. At the end of the day, you're you who you are. You were born who you are. Be the man or the woman that you claim that you are on and off camera, instead of being somebody different just because you got an audience.
Mm-hmm. You heard it. Spicy TL back mid-season form. And I agree, 1,000,000,000%. But you already know because we talked about that.
Yeah.
Ryan brings up, something too. Like, it's always, in this was even John Lynch did it in the presser, the end of the season presser with him and Shanny, when he's, oh yeah, Brock, it's unfortunate, blah blah blah, but Trey, he has to learn to stay healthy, and it's like he talks about Brock's injuries, like, oh, it's so different because he had this 250-pound guy, blah blah blah, but Trey's, it's, oh, he got to learn to stay healthy. He don't bring up, oh, that a 300-pound guy, took out Trey's ankle,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's never no context into what Trey's dealing with. It's
Mhm.
Trey has to find a way to play. He's on a win now team. He has to stay healthy. And you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's starting to aggravate me some is that every time John Lynch talks about somebody and their injuries now, he always brings up, oh, well, the first 2 years of my career, I was injured, and then after that, I didn't miss a single game for 6 seasons, whatever it was. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, he's just so programmed to already say this specific thing about each subject,
Mhm.
that he just always is saying the same thing. No, but you just insert this player's name, okay, it's already a format that they give him at the beginning of the presser. It's just like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
coach speak, just like
Yeah.
frustrating.
And to me, and I think about the Trey Lance thing, like, the him hitting his thumb on somebody's helmet, that's just
Yeah,
unfortunate. Like, that's something you really can't control. You're throwing a football, you hit a helmet. I think the only injury I can say was his fault is when he tried to run over Isaiah Simmons at the goal line.
yeah.
Like, he should have been smarter about that. He was a rookie. He should have been smarter. He should have either hopped over him or slid, whatever the case may be.
But
That
I
that
guarantee
that
you he learned from that.
Oh, for sure. So that like I said, that's the only injury out of the three that I can say, like, man, like, Trey, you
Mhm.
should have been a little bit smarter about that. But the one where his thumb hit a helmet in preseason, come on, like, that's just some bad luck right there. And then the one where he's running in between the tackles and a 300-pounder lands on his ankle, that's not his fault.
That
You know what I'm
would
saying? So
break anybody's ankle,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I weigh 235, and somebody's so 300-pound line on my ankle, it's snapping mine too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like, I mean, I know Trey's bigger than me, but I'm just saying, like, that's gonna snap anybody's ankle. But to sit there and make the statement of he has to learn to stay healthy, I don't like that.
yeah.
He's not hurting himself. It's not like, like, okay, so you can sit there like the thing with Jimmy, everybody was like, they blamed him. Oh, he should have just ran out of bounds and shouldn't have tried to take on when he tore his ACL back in 2018.
Mhm.
People were like, oh, that's his fault, whatever the case may be. Okay, like that kind of stuff. If you feel like you can prevent it, yeah. But him running in between the tackles, not his fault. Hitting his thumb on a helmet, can't blame him for that. Like, you see an open man, you throw it, somebody is rushing towards you, you can't control somebody's helmet coming. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy to me. So I don't. Now it's different if you say, like, oh yeah, we're just praying that Trey can stay healthy. That's different. But to sit here and say he needs to learn how to stay healthy, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
Lynch said Trey doesn't have a big cock. Stupid. And you see, that's Steve-O, but look at who he has in the picture.
Yeah, I
You
see.
see?
I see the picture of Nick. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
I see a whole bunch of people have joined, so let me catch up real quick.
yeah.
Let's see. And if I already called you out and I call you again, well, then you get 2 call outs, all right? David McNew, Emiliano, JDLR, Alberto. Let's see. Bryant. There's a lot of you chatting it up in here. Ty says, all my peeps in here. What up, y'all? All the peeps are here. Brandon. I saw JV. I think caught up that direction. All right. Now let me scroll the opposite way. Jess from East Coast Red and Gold. Santa Clara era. I want Ray Finkel as quarterback 3.
All right, Finkel. That's
Finkel.
funny.
I like that
Finkel
name.
and
Finkel.
Einhorn.
I have a show on Saturday, Melissa, with Bashar at I believe
You said
2.
2 o'clock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 Pacific time. Beto. I have a show with Beto and the boys later tonight. All the boys.
No borders. He's a fool for that comment.
Which one?
No, he said T.O. could have been working his ankles out all off season. No excuses.
Let me see. Did I say Bebop? I think so. Bebop-aroni. That's his name now. David V. All right. I think I got everybody, maybe. So we're gonna end with this giveaway today, since our guy was gonna be here for another year. So I figure we'll celebrate some Juwan Jennings and end with that. Let's do a Trey Lance giveaway. Why not?
The thing about Juwan Jennings to me is weird. Last year
Enter
they
your
gave him a
numbers.
year. They gave him the year where he couldn't be touched. Give him another year. I think the man has earned a multi-year deal.
Yeah. This is the last year that they can do that. So
Yes.
and it feels like that this is what they had done with, I want to say, like Kendrick Bourne and somebody else like around that same time. It seems like there was two of them that they kept doing the same weird thing with, and then it's like once they couldn't do that anymore, like then we seen, like they didn't, once it was time to sign KB to an actual contract. Well, so I'm really hoping after this season, that they figure out something, I don't understand why they couldn't sign him to like a 2-3, few years, like just to give him some stability, because we know these tender deals, like he ain't making crap on that.
Yeah, like a 3-year, $9 million deal or something. Yeah, something. I mean, or put some incentives in there. Like, you get 3 years, you can make up to 12, but you're guaranteed 7 or something like that. You know what I mean? But I feel like the man, he's not the best receiver, obviously, on our team, but I feel like he's the heart and soul. I feel like he does all the dirty work. He catches all the third downs. You know what I mean? He's just that nasty, excellent blocker. You know what I mean? He gets in people's heads. Like, I love that guy. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Alberto says 21 in the chat and only 15 likes. He's not very happy about that, people. So better get those likes up. Alberto Soto is going to be coming to look for your ass. But yeah, everybody get your numbers in the chat, 1 through 100. We'll start with the Trey Lance giveaway. If there's anybody new that doesn't know, you need to enter a number in the chat. Make sure that nobody else has entered that number yet. So no duplicates. And then we'll give you guys a few to enter your numbers, and we'll do a random number picker. And whoever's number picks closest to, you'll win. So good luck, everybody.
If you want to benchmark for when the number started, go to Christy Marie. She picked number 49. So that's the first number put into the chat.
So first number at 21 after 49. Denise, 2 shows in a row. Wow, she's on a roll today. Denise been working hard too. Her husband's mad that she's working so much. I said, well, tell him to get another job and you could stay home from work. Then he won't be mad anymore. David Villa, what's up? A lot of you guys are here for double shows today, so I greatly appreciate you guys pulling double duty with us. So yeah, we'll give you guys some time to get your numbers in. Moderators, if you see anybody else join and can let them know. Appreciate you guys.
Dang, Ty, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Aaron Lynch.
Aaron Lynch. When I always funny about the name Lynch reminds me when I always am typing John Lynch into something, it takes me like probably on my phone, a good 5 to 10 times of deleting and retyping for it to actually come out Lynch, because my phone keeps putting lunch in there.
Oh,
and it's funny. like, and I don't know, like sometimes it's like I'm fat fingering it and it touches the U. Sometimes it just changes it to that. It's like, but yeah, I'll keep like backing it and like go to type it so many times and it keeps putting lunch. It's like, damn it, not lunch.
That's like me and were. I'm trying to put were, WERE, and then I always change it to where. I'm like, I'm not trying to put an apostrophe. I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying we were, and it always wants to change it to where. And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Like these smartphones ain't that smart sometimes. So back to a few things that John Lynch had said. What I did like about what he said about Trey Lance was this. Trey will learn from adversity. Coolest thing was to watch him help Brock when he was hurt. Greasy was a huge part of the success, but the first person Brock would talk to when coming off the field was Trey. And then we heard in Trey's, like one of his last pressers that he did, he talked about, like after once he was finally able to be in there and back around the team and at the games and stuff, that, he had asked Kyle, like, what can I do to help? Give me something. And so that he'd have the plays and be going over everything with Brock, getting him prepped to play in the game. So, for somebody that like you pretty much lost your job, whether it was to injury, it was to whatever, right? And you're still there helping the person that took your job,
Yeah.
Be better for the sake of the team. Um, so I think that, and this is something we've talked about since we drafted Trey, since before. It's just that the man that Trey Lance is, the person behind the football, is such a good person. And to hear like the GM of a company that people are saying, oh, they could be trading this guy, whatever, like all this doubts, all this speculation, to hear him come out and say like that kind of stuff about Trey, like I just thought it was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, we talked about this before. I mean, he just comes, I give kudos to his mom and dad. Like
Yep.
they've raised such a good kid. Like he's so humble and he just kind of, he seems like, he wants to be like a great teammate. I remember for Christmas what he bought, like I don't know if it was like a portion of the team or the offense or somebody. He bought them all like gifts. They came to the locker
Yeah.
room and it was all set up in there. Like that dude is just, and of course, he got some idiots in the fan base. Oh, he's kissing up because he's scared he's gonna lose his job. I'm like,
Yeah.
these people are just it's crazy to me. But yeah, Trey Lance, we don't know what he is yet as a football player, but he showed his flashes. But we know as a man, we can't question him as far as the good deeds he does and being the great teammate that he is and stuff like that. And to go back off of Trey, like last year, we talked about how, he was working his tail off. Like he was posting everything, him and Brandon Ayuk, every location he was at. Like, I think and I don't think he was doing it for show. I think he was just like, hey, I'm out working. You know what I mean? There's an old school saying that, people my age, and probably late to mid 30s and up always, we used to hear back in the day that real G's move in silence.
Hmm.
And I hope that's what Trey does this offseason. I hope he just shuts up, don't post anything, and he just behind the scenes working his tail off. So when he gets into the OTAs and mini camps and stuff, that he just impresses and shows everybody, oh my gosh, like this dude has been working. I just hope that he just, he flies under the radar, don't say nothing to nobody, because I feel like the more he posts, the more he'll be critiqued. Oh,
Hmm.
look at that. That throw wasn't even on the money. Oh, his ball. Oh, well, no, his passes. I'm going to say his passes are still wobbly and, all this other stuff. He
Yeah.
always gets critiqued. So I just hope that he just moves in silence, shuts up, don't say nothing to nobody. Him and Brandon Ike want to go do their thing. Juwan Jennings, whoever he wants to go and get to work with this offseason. Just keep it on the low, keep it on the down low. Don't say anything and just go out there and just prove everybody wrong. That's what I hope I see from that kid, because I don't know, I just feel like the way he was talking in his interview, I feel like we're in for something special with this kid. And I really feel like him sitting and watching, and I know we know, he has to have his reps and stuff like that, but I truly feel like going into his third year, he really feels like, okay, looking at how Brock was running this team and showing the short game, I really hope that's what he's going to work on. And I feel like that's what he has been working on, because he knows that's what's going to be in the best interest of this team and what they like to do as a whole. And then the long game, it'll come eventually. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just can't wait.
Yeah, of course the injury was unfortunate and we know that he needs the reps, but the best possible thing that, could have, he could have been doing was seeing somebody else come in and have success. So he already sat behind Jimmy. He's seen how the team is around Jimmy, how, they talk about Jimmy and that whole thing. He sees that when Jimmy's in there, the team wins, regardless of why, the team wins, right? Now he got to see, okay, now here's a younger guy coming in and the team's gravitating towards him. He's able to go in there and win. This is what he did, So now he's got to see he's got to sit behind two different quarterbacks and see them have success, with his team. So, if that doesn't drive him to be better and learn and, then nothing will, right? Like, and up until this point, like, every step of the way through Trey's, young career, from school to college to whatever, is that he's been doubted, right? And what has he done? He's put his head down, he's worked, and he's proved everybody that was doubting him at the time wrong.
Mhm.
So, I'm not going to bet against the kid. I'm just not going
Yep.
to.
And Alberto just said it too in his comment. His history has been that he has proven people wrong
Yep,
his whole career. You know.
exactly. Real quick, I had seen 916 49er. Welcome, welcome. Alberto had said, "You got my love and support, gangsta, every time you go live." I appreciate you, Alberto. Fat fingering it. Yep. I was texting Lynch trying to get the 411, trying to get him to come on the pod so I can ask him, "Can you let us know who the starting quarterback is, please?" What are you thinking of? What are you thinking for Lynch tacos? How can anybody hate Trey? He's such a nice kid. Yep.
Exactly.
And like Steve said here, I agree with this too. Jimmy helped Lance when he was starting. Same with Lance and Purdy. They're all happy for each other. Fan base could learn something. We've heard Trey come out and talk about how, Jimmy was one of his best friends and he was so helpful to him and, all this, so I mean, we could not like Jimmy and we could say what we want about Jimmy, but I mean, the players have, for the 49ers anyways, up until this point, have never said anything but good things about him. So
Mhm.
we'll see after he's off this team and down the road a little if some come out like the Patriots players.
Yeah.
Mama and Papa Trey are good folks.
Hmm.
From all accounts, they seem to be very good.
Hmm.
Let's see. All right, I think we're caught up some here.
Do the giveaway.
Yeah, in a second. I just wanted to wrap up with John Lynch real quick, and then we'll move on.
John Lynch.
Yeah, what he had said when it came to Purdy, how when he talked about, they had asked him specifically about that, time frame. Oh, so will he be back throwing in 3 months, or will he be throwing after 6? Whatever. Um, and he says, that the doctor had told him something that he couldn't repeat, but pretty much that the doctor doesn't have a crystal ball, and that it's a different injury, different outcomes, and that's when he went into that it's a baseball player injury, but obviously baseball players don't have a 250-pound guy pushing their elbow backwards while they're
Hmm.
throwing, right? Um, and then talked about, a variety of different time frames. Every player and person is different, and then says, "We'll see." So I think that's the first time that they haven't given, everything has been so directed around this time frame. This, whether it's 6 months or he'll be ready by the start of the season. Even when they came out and
Hmm.
postponed the surgery, it was, oh, he'll still be ready by the start of the season. We heard Kyle talk about it in the end of the season presser, oh, this 6 months, yada yada. And this is now the first time that somebody is actually saying, like, no, we don't know for sure. Like, there was
Hmm.
not one thing that gave me any confidence from what Lynch said regarding that Purdy's going to be ready to start the season. And
Hmm.
I think we're all obviously thought this, and we all were questioning about when that report came out that his surgery was being postponed. Why wasn't the date then postponed? Like,
Exactly.
how can you still be ready when the surgery is being postponed, when you don't even have a surgery date
Yep.
as of right now? And
Exactly.
so I think this is the first time that we've actually heard somebody with the organization say something like, no, we don't know, we're going to have to see. Um, so what were your whole thoughts on, what he had to say about Purdy overall?
I mean, it's just funny. I mean, not what I'm gonna say is funny, but I think it was today's Thursday. I want to say like Monday or Tuesday. I still saw an article that even this week they're still swelling.
Yeah.
So it's like, who knows when this surgery is gonna come? I don't know. I think I just I mean, I don't know what to say about this organization. Obviously, I'm a diehard 49ers fans. I want the best for them. I just hope that you know, they don't have their mind just made up like, okay, this is Purdy's team because I feel like they talk really high of him and sounds like they just want him back so bad to be the starter, which, I want him back as well, but I want him back to be able to compete with Trey or Trey to compete with him, however you want to slice it, to find out who really is the best quarterback for this team. You know what I mean? Because, the fact that he can't compete right now sucks. So I just wish that they just shut up about this timeline thing and saying, "Oh, I think he'll be back this day, that day. It'll be week 8, week whatever the case may be. Let the man heal, let the swelling go down. I think the first date they need to really hit us with. I mean, if they haven't already, is tell us, hey, his surgery is scheduled on March 17th or whatever the case may be. Then we'll have a better idea of the healing time, at least a time frame. Like, okay, he had a successful surgery. They cleaned out any bad tissue, whatever the case may be. There's no more swelling, whatever the case may be. Now he'll be ready. Timeline is going to be 6 to 8 months. But the fact that there's still no surgery date, he might not have surgery till April, and we don't know. You know what I mean? So the fact that they don't even know what's going on right now, I think that's something that they should just keep to themselves until they understand what's going on and take it day by day or week by week, wherever the case may be, so they can give the fans, the media, whoever they want to do, and tell them, this is what the timeline we have for trade. I mean, for Brock Purdy. So
Yeah. Everybody got your numbers in. I'll give you a couple more minutes and then we're going to draw the winner. I want to close with what he had said about Jimmy, and then we'll move on to a little bit something different. So he was asked about, well, Jimmy and Tom Brady, and he kind of put both answers there together, which I'm like, man, Tom Brady retired again, and still they're wasting their freaking time to ask him about Tom Brady. Like, so ridiculous. But so he says, Jimmy, he's been tremendous for us. We won a lot of football games. We admire his toughness and the teammate he was. Everyone wants to talk about some discourse, and like he did like a little giggle. It's probably run its course. He's going to go play good football somewhere. Tom Brady, I text him to say congrats. I wished him the best. We'll leave it at that. So now we've heard, and you know how earlier when you talked about that John Lynch, could have been the one that's not a Trey Lance guy, up until this point, it's always been very clear that John Lynch is the Jimmy Garoppolo guy, right?
Oh, for sure.
Shanahan's losing his shit, with Jimmy, and John is like smiling, gleaming praises at Jimmy all the time. So even when they were asked at the last presser with both of them about Jimmy, Shanahan came out and said, no, Jimmy's not going to be back with us, right? So now we're finally hearing John Lynch come out and say similar things, right? And I can't remember a time when John Lynch has said anything close to, oh, it's run his course, he won't be back. I think that's for sure, that ship has sailed. Thank goodness.
Yeah. I personally think, and this is just my opinion, and I'm not trying to put any bad juju on the Niners or whatever the case may be, but I feel like if your GM and your head coach aren't on the same page, I don't think you're not gonna win a Super Bowl. You guys have to be in cahoots and work together. I understand there's gonna be certain things that you don't agree with. I get it. You have your own mind, but you should agree on the quarterback position. Your mindset should be like, this is our team, because then you know, it's gonna get into some situation where, like, if you have, and I'm sure there's Kyle guys and then there's John Lynch guys as well. You know what I mean? Like Kyle always, like, I feel like John Lynch is more private with his social media stuff and where he's going. And I mean, only time we really only heard anything about his social media is when he liked leave Jimmy in Tennessee. You know what I mean? But Kyle shows people like, oh, I'm having a barbecue with these players and stuff like that. So, if you don't have a GM and a coach on the same page, there's always going to be some chatter of this is what's going on, this is what's going on. Like you said, you said it right now. Like every time, it felt like with John Lynch, Jimmy G could do no wrong, no matter what the situation. He can go out and throw one touchdown and 3 interceptions, and we lose. And it was like, oh, I think Jimmy played good football, and this is and that. But I don't know. I just need these two to get on the same page. I can't stress this enough, and I totally 100%, 1,000%, like Denise likes to say, 1,000% agree with Twin. Make a decision and stick with it, because then at least you put at ease on the locker room, whether they like it or not. You know what I mean? you're either going to play for this team or not. This is my decision. This is the quarterback. This is who we're going to ride with. Deal with it. Go out there and play some football. Because at least whoever is going, whoever he picks and they're winning, it'll always shit. Because winning cures all. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So that's what it comes down to.
Yep. Hey, William. He says, I hope Trey makes a big step forward and stays healthy. You and us both. All right, let's draw this winner for the Trey card. Good luck.
I agree, JV. Ooh,
89. Let's see. I see a 90.
My Michigan guy, Ty Streets, back in the day. Throwback, I saw a little bit of it with Rappaport and what's his name, Pat McAfee, and I know Trey Lance wasn't mentioned at all. So yeah, I do know what you're talking about. He wasn't mentioned as being a starting quarterback. So I think our front office has given the media some kind of perception that that this is Brock's team going forward, so people don't think that Trey Lance even has a chance to be the quarterback of the future now.
Well, what's funny about that is that I'm scrolling through YouTube earlier, and there's a 49ers beat writer that has a YouTube page that I don't follow. So it came up like on just like videos, recommended or whatever. And I won't say his name or anything, but the description, and he's over there with the combine and all that. So the description for the video is tight ends for Brock Purdy and George Kittle. So they're the 49ers, he says in the video that they're looking for tight ends for Brock Purdy and George Kittle. No, they're looking for tight ends for Trey Lance. It's like it's just already a known thing that Trey Lance is not there, and anybody that they're looking to draft is for Brock Purdy. It's like, and you're one of the main 49ers beat writers,
Yeah.
It's like disgusting.
Well, Denise, I 1,000% agree with you. If Trey doesn't get his opportunity, and which doesn't make any sense to me. He's the healthiest quarterback we have. His opportunity should be day one of minicamp.
Right now.
Yeah, like as soon as they step on the field for whatever practice they want to put together after the combine, because usually after the combine, usually early to mid March, they have some kind of mini camp. So if he's not ready now, okay. But then I saw a video of him throwing with the quarterback. So I can't remember the guy who didn't get drafted last year, but Jamie something, the guy from Maryland, I believe. But anyway, like he should be the court. He should get his opportunity right now, just like Miriah said. Like he's the only healthy guy we have under contract right now. So he needs to be the guy as soon as we step on that field. So.
Hey, platform. What's up, Lawrence? Hey, Paul. Yes, it is. It is, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what the situation comes down to. It's all people always like to live in the moment. People love to live. What have you done for me lately? I mean, perfect example is look at Debo last year in the offseason, all the chatter. Oh, we can't let him go. He's our savior. He willed this team to win. It's been like crickets about Debo this year.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about him. Nobody's talking about him being a top 3 receiver. Nobody's saying anything like that. It just goes to show you that people live in the moment and they're not really looking at what can happen in the future. So, yes, Brock Purdy was amazing for a 7th round pick, or just for anybody, just in general. I mean, he had a stretch of he was number 1 in passing touchdowns. He had no interceptions, so I'm not taking that from him. I'm just saying people love to live in the moment where they just like, oh, we can't go off this guy. We can't go off for Bouquet, but at the same time, he didn't win the job, and I know we want to get off the quarterback situation. So I'll say what I have to say, but I hate this. I hate the talk of every time that people always say Kyle doesn't trust Trey. That to me doesn't make any sense. Kyle Shanahan wants to win, okay? He's been around football his whole life. He saw the success for his dad winning 2 Super Bowls. He's tasted, success where he almost won 2 Super Bowls as an offensive coordinator and a head coach, three or four NFC championship. The man wants to win. So for him to name Trey the starting quarterback week one with the healthy Brock Purdy and a healthy Jimmy on the roster, if he didn't trust Trey, he wouldn't have named him the starter. He would have said Brock Purdy looks like our best quarterback. I'm starting him. Jimmy G looks like our best. I'm starting him. He didn't do that. So to
Mm-hmm.
sit there and say like he doesn't trust, like I don't know any coach that's gonna be like, you know what, I don't trust you. I don't think you're the best quarterback on my roster, but I'm gonna start you anyway. That doesn't make any sense to me. None. Or or same thing with Christian McCaffrey. "Oh, I know you're the best running back on this team, but you know what? We're gonna start Elijah Mitchell no. Teams start their best players. Period. I don't want to hear about, oh, it was his draft position. No, Kyle doesn't care about that. Kyle wants to win, and that's what it comes down to. So I'm sick of this. Kyle doesn't trust trade foolishness that's always being talked about.
Yep, I agree. Beto, congratulations, Beto. You win the Trey Lance card. Rick Diaz asked a question here. Figure we can talk about. He says, "Welcome to the channel, Rick." He says, "I have a question for you both. Do you think we need help in the offensive line?"
Yes, we do. We have 3 third-round picks. I like one of those picks to be a tackle. Um, I don't know about anybody else, but I really have high expectations for Spencer Burford. He's a natural tackle, in my opinion. Like he played guard exceptionally well, but the way he's built, his athleticism. If you watch him when he was in college at UTSA, he looks like Trent Williams light, honestly. Like he moves like him. He played all offensive line. He played every position on the line except for center. But what I would like to see, and like I said, obviously, you bring in competition and all this and that. But I said this in the beginning of the show. I doubted our offensive line to start the season. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. I thought it was just going to be we lost Tomlinson. We didn't know what Banks was going to be. We had a new center in Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel, he played well, in my opinion, too, for being somebody who never really started and, came in a situation, having to come in and play, after probably a Hall of Famer and Alex Mack. And then you step in and you did pretty well. Yeah, he had his lumps and stuff like that, but and this is funny. Like everybody's okay with taking lumps except for the quarterback position. This is funny to me. But yeah, I would like to see a tackle, and I would like to see Poe and probably Jalen Moore. And you still got Colton McKivitz as well. I think he's another one who could play right tackle. But I think Jason Poe looked excellent last year in preseason at that right guard position. So if you put Poe at right guard, man, Steve Supremo, you hit the nail on the head. You put Poe at right guard, you put Spencer Burford over at right tackle. I think we got something. And then and what's the name? Nick Sakelj has been groomed to be the future center of this team. So the way that this offensive line performed this year, I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if we still try to bring in a vet for cheap. Still got, as Miriah likes to call him, Daniel Bumskill. But he's a backup. I don't like him starting, but he's a serviceable backup, kind of like Tom Compton was.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just needs to be on the bench. He needs to be grooming people, teaching people some stuff, being a mentor more than playing, in my opinion. But yeah, I do like Spencer Burford. I think he can be our future right tackle if you give him a chance. Like Steve Supremo said, Brendel gave up 1 sack. That's excellent for somebody starting, on this offense, his first year. So yeah, yes, we need offensive line help. I don't think we need to go crazy and go and bring in like 3 or 4 guys and spend a bunch of money, because I think they've showed this year. And finally, because I've always had an issue with this team and the way they groomed their offensive linemen. Everybody they brought in who was successful was during the trade. Laken Tomlinson, he was traded to us. Trent Williams was traded to us. Alex Mack was a free agent. what's the other guy's name we got from the Giants that we got in free agency that he didn't last at center either? I always forget his name, but he was always hurt, but we always either brought in a free agent veteran or either, like I said, or we traded for somebody. But the fact that um, Jake Brendel, Aaron Banks, and Spencer Burford all look good, that gives me high hopes for this offense going forward. And, we got Banks going into his third year now, second year as a starter. I feel like Spencer Burford for a long time. And you can argue that for a long time, Aaron Banks, yeah, Weston Richburg, that was his name, our center that we brought up from the
Yeah.
Giants. Yeah, but Aaron Banks can argue at one point was our best offensive lineman. He was playing better than Trent at sometimes.
Mhm.
So Spencer Burford, I want to see him at right tackle. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, with 3 third-round picks, I want to draft at least one.
Yeah, and kind of on that same thing, William had asked, will Lynch and Kyle and Wilkes make moves in the draft or stay where they have picks? You think they end up moving up or?
I think so. I think with 11 picks, I don't think this team has enough room for 11 rookies.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with Robbie Gold, but I'd like for us to draft a kicker too.
Same.
But I feel like with 3 third-round picks, I feel like you can package 2 of those with maybe a 6 or something and move up into the middle of the second or something like that, and then you'll have a second, third. You'll still have a third-round pick available. And then you can move up into the second to get yourself. To me, I feel like the top 2 needs. Everybody, I mean, I know everybody. To me, I feel like interior defensive line and offensive tackle should probably be our first 2 picks, and then I'd probably go safety and then corner. That's how I would do it if I had the first 4 picks, and after that, go best player available. I would love, if we don't get a veteran, which I think we are, go after another quarterback. I know everybody's not going to come out and be Brock Purdy, but the fact that Brian Greasy banged the table for this young man and said, "Hey, he was a quarterback for a decade, who was a Pro Bowler. He
Yep.
saw the talent in Brock Purdy. So let him do the evaluation, in my opinion. Let him say, hey, I like this quarterback from this college. I looked the film on him. He's the quarterback coach. So let him pick if he sees somebody. And I think he's earned the right to pick a quarterback on day 3 if that's where they choose to go because of what he did with Brock Purdy. So yeah, offensive line, defensive line. There's two people who there's two I would say, yeah, there's 2 players. No, actually I want to say 3. There's 3 players who didn't get much burn last year who I would love to see this year. That's Kalia Davis at defensive tackle. I like to see Jason Poe at guard, and I like to see Marcelino McCrary Ball at linebacker. Those 3, I think, are going to make a huge impact, and I can't wait to see what they do for this team. Those are the 3 names. I said it today on March 2nd. Those are the 3 names I think are going to make a huge leap that are going to make John Lynch and Kyle think that. And that's why they have these camps. They go to the combine. Then after the combine, they usually have a little small camp to see, who's in shape, who's been looking good and working before the draft, so they can get a final look at their roster to see what they need. But I feel like Poe, Marcelino McCurry Ball, and Kalia Davis at D tackle might be something special for this team.
Yeah. What's up, Romella Bell? I think this is the first time I'm seeing you in the chat, so if so, welcome. Appreciate it. And I had seen somebody mention earlier about Jimmy, about those first 5 games. This is what I keep coming back to about, people are just in the moment, when you brought that up, is that everybody was so watch Jimmy come, we shit team, right? And then he comes in, he wins those 5 games. Everybody's rushing out to buy his jersey. The 49ers sign him to this big ass contract. He's going to be the 49ers savior, right? That's what everybody thought. Like, oh my God, he came in and won all these games straight, 5 games straight with such a team that couldn't do shit at that time, and look where we are. Like, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, I'm not getting fooled again, right? Like, if we see, Brock Woodhouse somehow ends up, like, still don't understand how there's going to be a competition, right? If Brock's not even healthy, but, somehow this all comes to work itself out and Brock's the starter. and then shows, like this is who Brock Purdy is, regardless of situation, whatever, okay, well then, I'll start to get on the Brock train. And of course, I'm going to support whoever is the quarterback of the 49ers. But after just, this many games, just the same, like, I think it's ridiculous that people are saying, oh, Trey Lance is a bust after 4 games.
Yeah.
Not even
Crazy.
4 games together. 4
Yeah.
random ass games, and
games.
people are already writing off the guy's career. Like, just as much as I'm not ready to call him a bust, I'm not ready to crown this one the next freaking franchise quarterback either. So
yeah,
that's
talk to him. Yeah, talk to him, and that's fair. It's like you said, 4 stars, only 3 of them were complete. You know what I mean? So it's like, like you said, they're all scattered. You had a week 16 start last year, then you had, the Arizona. Well, actually, you had like week 8, then week 16 in 2021. Then you had week 1, and then you had week 2 where he got hurt. So it's like he never had 2 complete back-to-back starts. You know what I mean? And like, we've all been saying people need to understand and bring context to the situation. Other than 2019, since Kyle's been here, our offense has started slow. Even the year when we went to the NFC Championship against the Rams. I feel like I repeat myself in like a broken record, but we have some new viewers. But I for one, I'll admit, after last year, not the year that just passed, year before that, when we lost NFC Championship, when we lost to the Colts in the rain at 3-5, I was ready to say this team is done. This team is finished. The offense looked like trash. We couldn't score any points, and then we got it together. And like I said, it's and the same thing with Trey. Like I feel like the offensive line had no continuity. There was no Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle was hurt, so it's like give Trey the benefit of the doubt. Like the man has never played with like a full arsenal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't wait until he gets a full arsenal. He gets Christian McCaffrey for a full off season. He gets hopefully a healthy George Kittle, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, I just, like you said, to write somebody off after 3 complete, a 21-year-old, 22-year-old after 3 complete games, calling him a bust is crazy. Like, that's just unheard of to me.
Steve, if a bust is bad, is busting a nut good or bad?
Neither one. I put that in the amazing category.
Beto says, I would love to see Trey Lance a whole year with Brian Griese. And
Yes.
that's another thing too, right? Like he had a quarterback coach in there that didn't even want him, that didn't like him, that was out there spreading all this rumors and gossip and shit behind his back, that left to go to a college team because he didn't want to be there coaching Trey Lance. Like,
and got fired
after
his first year. He went to Kentucky, which was, a solid team, but no, not one that, you're going to think that can win a championship. For you to go to Kentucky, who's one of probably the worst teams in the SEC, and then you come out there and you get fired after your first year, that says something. Especially coming from, it's not like he went from college to college. He went from NFL to college and still couldn't keep a job after a year.
Yeah, and he got fired in like November or something, like like way early in the season. Like it was crazy. So yeah, like you have to wonder, like, how is this kid gonna do when he actually has a coach that believes in him, that wants him to get better, that wants to teach him, that that wraps his arm around him and goes to work with him, compared to a coach that was just like, oh, I'm Jimmy's guy, like I think it's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, Skaggs, he was the worst.
He was terrible. I couldn't. Me neither. He was terrible.
Come draft day, I'll riot and burn my town to the ground. Well, if you're an Eagles fan, you burn your town to the ground anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and do the giveaway for Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings rookie card. Into your numbers 1 through 100. No duplicates. Good luck, everybody. Did you get to see that the report cards that came out yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
All right, so let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I talked about it a little earlier with Ted, but
okay,
get your thoughts on it. Let me pull up the. And for those that didn't watch earlier or whatever, I kind of read, what the NFLPA had to say about, this report cards and why they were doing it. So I'll kind of just give a little brief thing of that, and then we'll get TL's thoughts on it. Basically the whole point is the NFLPA is supposed to be there to help, the football players with on the field issues, off the field issues, whatever possible things, for them to become a better football player and to become a better man, right? And so the idea with this kind of was, there was a lot of players that when it came time to make the decision to sign a new contract somewhere, or, do they stay, at the organization they've been, just different things, is that, players that have been with one organization their whole career didn't know what other organizations are like. So, they could have thought they were getting the high class treatment, and getting treated all great and everything in all these different aspects. But, then if they were finding out that when they did go to another team, like, oh, wow, this isn't how stuff's done throughout the league. Like, I didn't realize that the organization was treating us like shit, or I didn't realize how great they were treating us, and not everybody gets treated that way, So they wanted to kind of put, the players, all their feedback and everything, like try to put it to use in a good way. So, they got different categories, and they sent out the thing. You could vote on each category 1 through 5. That was the rating scale. And then afterwards they got, the scores for each category, averaged it up, and that's how they came up with the grade. And so pretty much they were saying that with this, obviously the teams will now get this, so the teams can see. And this was every single player that was on the team this past season took did the report card thing. And so, they figure that the teams can see, and if they're lacking in an area, hopefully make changes and better that. And then this is going to be something that they continue to do. So next year, when they do this again, you'll be able to compare now. Did the teams, this is what the teams got, this is what they got last year. Did they better, did they fix these areas? Do they give a shit, what the players are saying? Or did they leave it how it was? So, that's kind of where it is. So overall, the 49ers are ranked 7th in the NFL. And the categories were treatments of families, which they got a B+, and I kind of questioned this earlier, like, what does that consist of that they wouldn't get an A? And I had a couple of people in chat say that it was, a couple of the family, for the families that have children and stuff, that the organization doesn't offer childcare. And that there's not places for women to breastfeed. So I guess that kind of went into that, that was a reason why they had got, a B there. Nutrition, A-, weight room, A-, strength staff, A, training room, C+, training staff, A-, locker room, B+, travel, A-. So obviously the training room is the one that sticks out, right? Because
it does.
That's the lowest grade they got. The only C, only thing below a B+ that they got was that C for training room. And that's who put this tweet out, Matt. He goes on to say the responses for the team were positive in all but one section: the training room, a crucial area for players to rehab and recover. The tubs and rehab pool are viewed as small, and there are a lack of tables and space in the training room itself. So the first thought that comes to my mind is, obviously the 49ers, we know, have so many injuries, is that, of course they need to do better. Of course they need to up that grade. But when you have half your team injured, you're probably thinking, oh, this will be enough space, and then you have so many people injured that they just kind of take over. Like, how much space do they have to possibly have in there to have 23 tables, or how many injured people they have, right? Like, just kind of crazy. But and two is that should probably be an area that's upped, and maybe we wouldn't have all these injuries. So probably goes hand in hand both ways. What are your kind of overall thoughts, on them being ranked 7th? I don't know if you had a chance to check out some of the other grades, but man, there's some.
The Arizona Cardinals was terrible.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they don't even have like meals to eat for the families when they come to the facility, that's crazy.
Yeah.
like if you sit there and you're married, you bring your wife, to come at the facility or whatever, while you're at practice or you're training or whatever the case may be. She can't even grab a meal. It's crazy. But yeah, like but yeah, I think that's perfect. It's funny how the staff is an A-, but the training facility itself is a C+. They need to upgrade, plain and simple. They need to do better. I mean, I saw this list maybe a week ago that showed the most ACL tears and injuries overall in the last few years, and 49ers topped the list.
Yep.
Like we need to do better with that. We've always been known as the gold standard of football, and I know over the past decade and whatever the case may be, it hasn't been like that. But still 49ers is a gold standard organization who, and I never forget, like I think it was Eric Allen back in the day, old school corner from the Eagles. He always said, man, the Niners was always that organization I never thought would ever fall off. I thought they'd always be this organization that would always be top of the line. That's where every player wanted to go. Everybody wanted to be drafted to, free agency, stuff like that, and I want to get back to that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, obviously, we made an NFC championship. I'm not saying that we're not up there as far as our ability, but I'm just saying, like, let's be the gold standard in everything. Let's cut down on these injuries. Let's have a better training facility, stuff like that. And you know and and I know you can't. I'm not saying you're going to get an A in every single thing. People are going to nitpick and stuff like that, but man, that should just be a standard to have a room for women to breastfeed their children. Like that right there, that should be like, I mean, there's one at my job. You know what I'm saying? Like that should be something that you should have, period. But yeah, I mean, as far as the other
Especially
grades
you're
go,
at a place where it's all males working, basically, right? It's not like they can just go there and pop the boob out anywhere and start feeding
exactly,
their kid and feel comfortable. Like,
exactly my point. Yeah, like I figure probably 85% of the staff is probably dudes. You know what I mean? I mean, and like you said, for you to know that families are allowed, you should think outside the box and be like, yeah, okay, yeah, the women can eat, but if they bring a small child who needs to eat, where are they going to
yeah,
go? You know what I mean? You're not going to have them go sit out in their car, which I guess that's what it sounds like they have to go. But that's crazy to me. Yeah. Like I said, I understand you're not going to get an A in every single thing, but I mean, I feel like the upgrades are pretty small. Just to have a little room for the women to breastfeed.
mhm,
The fact that that the players, a C+, that means that you have a middle of the road training facility,
yep,
and you need to be better with that. It needs to get up to at least a B+ by I say before the start of preseason at
yeah.
least. If you got the money to upgrade, like let's go ahead and do that.
And think how much. Think, that this went out to every player on your team, right? Players that have been there for years. Now think how much that means if they were to walk in to start the season, to start the, first activities of the season, and the thing that they had, graded the lowest and their complaints were fixed.
Hmm.
Like you come in like, oh, okay, like they really do care. They have somewhere for my wife to feed our kids now.
Hmm.
They added this extra space for, additional tables or whatever. It's not, whatever. They got us a couple bigger tubs because we have guys that are, 6'8", whatever the case may be. It's like,
Yeah.
think how much that, not only have players up until this point been saying how great of an organization this is, well,
Hmm.
now you're actually showing, because the things that they have you graded low on, you came in and you took care of. And like you said, they have the money to do it, so there's no reason why you shouldn't.
Hmm.
I don't think it's like, that they're asking for some ridiculous things here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
think
know. I took a
overall,
tour. Yeah, I know. I remember taking a tour of Allegiant Stadium, and everything is top of the line. Like it
yeah,
was, it was amazing. So yeah, I mean, like you said though too. I mean, even if you want to have sections off, like keep the tubs you have, but
yeah.
let those be for the corners or safeties. Something like the running back stuff like that. But man, you got you got these big boys and the Kinlaws and Trent Williams and stuff. Like you got to get them some bigger tubs, man.
Haley, he says
I
family
agree.
lounge area should be essential. Yep.
Absolutely.
Steve will say Watson stole all the massage tables. Everybody got your number in for Jawan Jennings. Gonna do the giveaway for Jawan Jennings rookie card. What I don't think I think that he signed. Did Tabor Pepper? He signed his extension after last week's show. I think so.
I think so. I think you're right.
Yeah. So I kind of touched on this earlier. My feelings on it. I was happy, and I kind of think of Tabor Pepper like I always think about it, and I've thought about this for the last couple of years. Is that I swear, like we're the only team that really knows who their long snapper is, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like such a celebrated big name. Like I can name a lot of players from probably from every team in the NFL. I couldn't name you one person's long snapper. Like that's probably the only position I could not name, a player from on somebody else's team.
Yeah.
And like I just feel like ours is so like he has such a Twitter presence.
His cool
he's
personality and stuff.
Yeah, he's a YouTuber. He plays Pokemon. Like he's just like one of the homies, right? Like like I feel like so much like closer to him than any other player on the team because he's just always there bullshitting with us, like just like a normal person. And we know that they don't get paid, the highest of money.
No,
obviously, still way more money than the rest of us make, right?
Oh, but for sure.
In NFL standards, they're like the lowest paid probably out of anybody. So to see the 49ers actually, and we remember like we were having all this problem with our long snapper at the time, right? Like, remember he missed like 5 back-to-back snaps were like all crazy, and then all of a sudden they replaced them with Tabor Pepper, and we've had no problems, no issues.
None,
we've heard his name only because he's made tackles on special teams and shit. Like other than that, like he's been solid as could be. So like it was nice to see them, take care of him. He got like a little over $1 million, whatever guaranteed, like little bonus off the top. So like I think that's awesome for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy for him. That's a good observation too by Bebop. He says probably why Nick Bosa trains in Florida.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Nick Bosa podcast with Richard Sherman?
No, was that a good one?
Yeah, you have to check it out. It's only like 20 minutes or so, but it's the first podcast that Nick Bosa has ever done.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, that's crazy in the time when everything's podcast, like everything is, like digital and all this, like for him to never have done a podcast before.
Yeah.
So, and it was pretty cool. Like to hear, a different side of Nick Bosa than the 3-minute dry answers that we usually get, whatever. You could tell like that he really respects and has a love for Richard Sherman, like it was more of a intimate, like he was joking around, and it was pretty good. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, I have to check that out.
Yep. All right, let's draw this.
Yeah, Gutierrez was huge.
Yeah. He ain't fitting in those tubs.
Oh, yeah, I did hear that, though. Didn't Nick Bosa mention something about E-Man coming back?
Yeah. He was talking about how, like, all levels of the defense, are so great that, the linebackers with Warner and Greenlaw took a step up. And he's like, and now, on the back end, we got Trevarius Ward and E-Man will be back, and just said it like it was just nothing, and E-Man will be back. So I don't know, whether he's just used to E-Man being there, like E-Man's been there Nick Bosa's whole career, right? So it's like if he was just, or if there's something that he knows.
Or maybe he forgot he was a free agent and was like, maybe he's thinking like, oh, he's coming back from injury. Yeah, that could have been it too. Yeah.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that Nick Bosa knows something that nobody else does, but
yeah.
This was such a big talk about, E-Man for a minute. He was such somebody, as the season was right after he got hurt, especially, and then, the following weeks we would talk about, oh yeah, if he's healthy, whatever, bring him back. We want him back, Well, now we've seen Diamador Lenore go in there and kind of take over that spot, right? Like after he got, accustomed to what he was doing and everything, like he did great, I think. Do you think that the team still makes it a priority to bring E-Man back now? Or, because they have Diamador Lenore doing it on a rookie, on a rookie wage. He didn't just come off injury. E-Man's going to obviously want and, deserve more money.
Mhm.
Do you think that, now we have other teams too, the Texans.
Texans might take a look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So do you think
it's
he's a priority still to bring back with Diamador Lenore's growth?
yeah. I think it all depends too on how Samuel Womack and them look in the in these little mini camps and stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be hard because even though E-Man, he deserves he deserves a lot. I mean, for him to be undrafted and now being like the second best corner on this team when healthy is crazy. Um, I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't think he'll be back. I think the Texans will throw more money at him. I think D'Amico Ryans would love to have a guy like him on his
Mhm.
team, somebody familiar with the system. We'd have to sweeten the pot and give him like me, as you guys can tell, I'm all about incentive based contracts. Like, let the player earn his money, but also give him a fair amount to earn, to for the season. So like, I'm sure he's looking for something multi-year,
Mhm.
where it's like, hey, I don't want to sign a prove it deal. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, who knows? I'm not speaking for him. He might say, you know what, I did tear my ACL. Give me 1 year, 12 million, or whatever the case may be, and then so I can prove it, or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. I just have a feeling that with all this, with other teams having a lot of money as well. I mean, we always talk about how Kyle Shanahan, his coaching tree is going everywhere now.
Yeah.
They're like all over the place. So even somebody like I think you said like the Jets probably won't throw money at him because they're pretty good
Yeah.
on defense, but the Texans, man, I mean, from all accounts, they have a lot of money because they're not paying a huge salary for quarterback right now. They're
Mhm.
they're paying Davis Mills, who was a third round pick, like probably like what, maybe 2 million, you know what I mean? Whatever the case may be. So they have a lot of money to spend. So Eman will be perfect for him. I truly expect Eman and Aziz to be Houston Texans.
Yeah. I agree. I really wanted E-Man back, and still, like, if they're able to bring him back, hell yeah, bring him back. But that's and I don't care about the injury. That's an injury so many
Yeah.
athletes come back from nowadays. So it
Yeah,
has nothing to do
exactly.
with that. The fact is that I think he's going to get more money from the Texans.
Yeah. Yeah. Him and Aziz gone. It's a wrap.
Yeah. I mean, we can't keep everybody,
No,
so,
you can't.
and obviously, if you keep everybody, you're going to have the same team that just lost, whatever reason why they lost. If you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So
Yeah, I
we
totally
gotta we
agree.
gotta improve somewhere.
Yeah. And two, with all the other contracts coming up with Bosa, Ayuk,
Yeah, that's the
stuff
thing.
like that, like we got to pay these other guys too. So,
We
and
got
who
we need
knows? And then we talked
safety.
about Gibson coming back,
Yeah.
maybe. So,
Yeah, John Lynch did talk about, or I think it was John Lynch that did talk about that, or somebody reported, I don't know, that Gibson did, notify that he is not retiring. So,
mhm,
that was the question, whether he was going to retire. He had said, obviously in his presser, that if he wasn't going to retire, the only reason he would not was because he wanted to play with Huff. So hopefully that means he's coming
mhm.
back.
Yeah. Well, Izzy, it's not that me and Mariah are saying don't give him a chance because of his injury. We're talking about the money
Yeah.
situation. Like, if they want to bring him back, I'd be all for it. I don't care that he tore his ACL. He tore it so early. Was it week 2 or something like that, or week 1, whatever the case may be? He tore it so early that he can come back full throttle. So if they want to sign him to a multi-year deal, I'm all for it.
Yep.
I just assume and predict that he can go with D'Amico, get paid more money, and that's the only thing that we're talking about.
Yep. And you can't just keep expecting that everybody's going to turn down money for team get discounts because they want to come back to a team that
Yeah.
hasn't won anything in this many years. So
Hmm.
it's like,
Yep.
I'm not going to take 2 million to come back or get paid 10 million over here. Like,
Exactly.
we can't just keep thinking that everybody just wants to come give a team friendly deal and stay at the 49ers. Like, it's just not logical. Let's draw the winner and let's get out of here.
Hmm.
Good luck, everybody. 59.
9. Let me see what we got here. I think Christie's first again at 49
Mm-hmm.
from what I saw. Is that what you saw too?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you got it. Uh,
We got a lot of, we got 29, 49, 99, 79.
I'm disappointed. Ain't no 69 on here though.
Usually there is.
I know.
Dang, there's
Not really anybody close except for maybe Christy from what I see. Hold on. So she's 10 away.
I think that is the closest.
I think it might be Christy. Yeah. Let me keep scrolling down.
You guys are bad guessers, man.
I know it's been a while that somebody wasn't like as close. You know what I mean?
She says there's a 52.
There is. Let me see. 52. Oh, Christy was first, so I see the blue. I don't see a 52. Yeah. Where's there a 52 at? Who said there was 52?
Christy said that.
Oh, there is?
I don't see it. Maybe from the first one.
Yeah, maybe.
She said JDLR. I don't even see JDLR have a guess this time.
Yeah, it's probably from the first one, maybe. Yeah, that was last game. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, you're the winner, Christy.
She's trying to give away her own stuff.
Exactly. Trying to give away your
gift.
gift.
I'll give it away to somebody else. Congrats, Chris.
Another card for your son.
Juwan Jennings. It's hard to find Juwan Jennings cards too.
Yeah.
All right. Got anything else?
No, just waiting to announce when teams can start going to like their mini camps and stuff like that. I'm gonna definitely start keeping an eye on stuff so I can start hearing some stories. Been kind of slow, been super busy at work. So, I see they're racing on your street again. I'm gonna go take my charger out there and race somebody. No, I don't know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything. Was this the last day of the combine or is it still going?
No, I don't know. One of these days.
Yeah, one of these days, maybe tomorrow, I think might be the last day. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good things. I'm gonna start really getting into my research. If there's a guy that really like we mentioned before, 11 picks is a lot. I think maybe they keep 7 or 8 of them. Like I would just keep trading up if I could. To try to get the best talent. Getting the best talent we can. But I truly believe we're taking 2/3 and one of our day 3 picks try to move up in the second. And then, like I said, we'll have a second, a third, a fourth, and then it'll be from there. But I think if they move up to the second, I truly believe it'll be for either for a right tackle or maybe like a D line. But like I said, we're gonna have from all accounts, we have some guys who we haven't seen do anything. So like I said, Kalia Davis, hopefully he comes in here in March or whatever the case may be and shows his worth. He's like another DJ Jones, and we can use that next to Armstead. We can use that tremendously next to Armstead. We've had so many ever since. I feel like getting rid of DeForest Buckner has been a curse, man. Like we can't keep any healthy D linemen inside. So we just need to get us some guy, who can sit next to Armstead and do that thing. And then yeah, like I said, Jason Poe, and I'll give shouts out to Miriah because she called this guy out last year, was high on him, Marcelino McCurry Ball. Like, I was like, I think I was higher on Jeremiah Gemmel than I was Marcelo Ball, and he's not even on the team. I don't think. I don't even think.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's on a practice squad or somebody picked him up. I don't know, but I hear nothing but Marcelo McCurry Ball. He fits the bill. The like a smaller, shifty, athletic linebacker. Cause that's what Aziz was. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. The draft will be here pretty soon. So yeah, I can't wait. That's really all I have to say from my final thoughts. So.
Chrissy, if you're talking about the one I mentioned earlier with me and Peachy and Steph Sanchez. It's either going to be next week or the following week. It'll be live on Grant's channel. And then shortly after that, I'll have, the episode put up on our channel. So yeah, either we don't have a set day yet. We're still working through everybody's schedules, but we're looking for next week or the following week after that. So that should be fun.
I appreciate you like always, fam. Yeah, Denise, has been crazy. Like, just working nonstop. But hey, you got to pay to play. So work hard, but you got to play hard too. So I was just in Florida last week. Went to an Orlando Magic game. Went to Disney World. So yeah, I work hard, but I also play hard. So I hope you do the same, Denise.
Yep. All right, chat. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate those of you, especially too, that showed up to double shows in the off season, pulling double duty. We appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see you guys tonight at 7 with the fellas. And I'll be back on this channel probably, I think Saturday will be the next time with Bashar. So
before we go off, Izzy, you're welcome. I know you said your birthday's this weekend, so happy early birthday. And Chrissy, I'm glad to see you. I remember the last show you said to say a prayer for you, and I got on my knees, prayed for you, got a little teary eyed because I hate saying stuff like this, but I'm glad to see you commenting on our show. So
yeah, I asked her earlier. She said she got through surgery, everything went well. So now she's on the recoup. So yeah, good to see that. But yeah, chat, we love you. We appreciate you guys. Everybody stay safe. Have a great rest of your week and a good weekend. We're out of here.
Yep.